Welcome to the Arcade 1 New Update 2024 New Year Edition. If you watch my custom PC 20TB Arcade 1 review video, you know there was some free space on that 20TB drive at the time. Well, Carlos has been busy and hard at work filling up that drive with new Teknoparrot Patreon games, updates to Clone Hero, Visual Pinball, and the magazine wheels, new comics, Jukebox and Guitar Hero wheels, and even a ton of new Marquee artwork for your Hyper Marquee or Pixelcade. I'm going to touch base on a bunch of these 2023 year-end updates, as well as the 2024 New Year update. So sit back and enjoy. There have been plenty of games and consoles added throughout this last year, including Kevin taking it upon himself to make sure that the Philips CDI wheel was added after I had called it out as missing on my 20TB review video. So you never know when a new game or a new console, an old game or an old console may be added to the Arcade 1. But the great thing is, you can do the update yourself or you can send in your drive for a tune-up. First up, we have the addition of the Teknoparrot Patreon games to the Teknoparrot and Gun Games wheels. The Patreon games are only accessible with the $5 per month subscription, and currently there are 9 Patreon games on the Arcade 1, but I'm sure there's plenty more coming in 2024 to make that $5 monthly price worthwhile. I'm going to show you all 9 games that are currently on the Arcade 1 via the Teknoparrot Patreon games. First up is Aliens Armageddon by Raw Thrills. It's a fun 2-player shooter where the Xenomorphs have devastated Earth and your mission is to get to the Ark and escape Earth before it's completely destroyed. I actually played this one at the Galloping Ghost Arcade and it was a ton of fun. This one's going to be under the Gun Games wheel. Next up, Raw Thrills' first ever release was Target Terror. This is the enhanced version, Target Terror Gold, featuring bonus levels and end-of-round awards. You battle terrorists across the United States with 1 or 2 players. It's another gun game, so you'll find it under your aim track or your sending gun game wheel. Next up, we have Street Fighter V Type Arcade, which is actually an exclusive Japanese arcade release, and you can actually bring your controllers to the arcade and plug them in via USB and use those if you wanted. So this one's going to be your typical fighter, so you can use your joystick and buttons or your Xbox controller to play this one, and you'll find this one in the Teknoparrot wheel. Next up is a return to a cult classic franchise in Elevator Action Invasion. It's for 1 or 2 players, and it was created by Unis Technology. There's some stylish combat and intense action as you go floor by floor via the elevator, so you'll find this one under your Gun Games wheel. Next up is the House of the Dead EX, which is a spin-off game from the traditional The House of the Dead horror genre. This game is a collection of mini-games and boss battles, and the arcade version of this game actually worked with foot pedals, so I'm going to have to experiment a little bit with my Infinity 3 foot pedal that I showcased in one of my videos on my channel, covering all the Time Crisis games that are available on your Arcade 1, and I'm going to see if that foot pedal will actually work with the House of the Dead EX. Stay tuned. Next up is the final installment of the Lethal Enforcers series, Lethal Enforcers 3. There are 6 different law enforcement roles that you'll play as you can see here on the theme in the lower right-hand corner, and you'll play various scenarios, taking the player through modern-day Tokyo, Japan. There's various weapon pickups, and of course, since this is a light gun game, you're going to find this in the aim tracks or Sinden light gun wheel. Next up is Terminator Salvation, developed by Play Mechanics and published by Raw Thrills. You'll play as John Connor, and there are 2 main selectable missions with 4 chapters in each mission. It has similar gun gameplay to the Aliens Armageddon game that I mentioned earlier, and if you have a Teknoparrot Patreon account, you'll definitely want to check this game out, as well as Aliens Armageddon in the Gun Games wheel on your Arcade 1. Next up is Primeval Hunt. This game features 12 levels of hunting dinosaurs with 3 different weapons, up to 2 players, and boasts the tagline, Hunt or Be Hunted. Jesse from the Arcade 1 Facebook group had to play a lot of Primeval Hunt while he eagerly waited for one of his platinum trophies to one day be added to the Arcade 1. This is the game that you'll find under your Gun Games wheel, and we'll see if Jesse's game's on this list. The Technogods made Jesse's dreams come true, as Jurassic Park Arcade from Raw Thrills was recently added to the Arcade 1 in early 2024. You focus on capturing 3 unique dinosaurs across 9 different missions. Midnight Night actually took this game on in a quarter challenge video on the actual arcade machine on my YouTube channel, so make sure you check that out if you're interested. This was a huge addition to the Arcade 1, and I didn't have to send my drives in or wait months for it to be added to the Arcade 1. It was passed along to every Arcade 1 user, and as long as you have a Teknoparrot Patreon account, you can play this game right here, right now on your Arcade 1. The Teknoparrot Patreon games are a new addition to the Arcade 1, so not all of the games or updates are quite on there yet, such as the Wheel of Fortune game, Arctic Thunder, or the English translation of Mario Kart GP DX 1.18. But Carlos, Kevin, Anthony, and everyone else, they try to stay on top of it and keep things up to date as possible. So once the rest of the Teknoparrot Patreon games and updates are all complete, I'll create a Teknoparrot Patreon wheel so I can showcase all of them. Can't wait, and keep up the great work, guys. The next new update is the Guitar Hero wheel, featuring most of the Guitar Hero and Rock Band games pre-configured to work out of the box with a readily available Wii guitar that pairs with the RAFnet adapter, which you can get online. I'm a massive Guitar Hero and Rock Band fan, as you can see from some of my collection there on the left video, so I tested out both my wired Xbox 360 Guitar Hero Explorer guitar, as well as the Xbox 360 Harmonic Stratocaster guitar, and both of those also work with this program, so I did not have to buy a guitar separately. And while all these Guitar Hero and Rock Band games have long been on the Arcade 1 under their respective PlayStation 2 and Nintendo Wii wheels, those wheels are configured for controllers and Wiimotes, and while I was able to configure the guitars to work on the PlayStation 2 games wheel, it was a lot of tinkering, so I do think that it's fantastic that this wheel has been added as a wheel dedicated to guitar owners. And while I'm going to go over Clone Hero a little bit later, which does have access to all these songs in one location, which is a really cool perk of Clone Hero, you may ask yourself, why bother with all these individual games that are limited to which songs came out on which games? And I'm going to tell you, I think it's a much more authentic experience to play the individual games as they each evolve from game to game, franchise to franchise. They include additional modes which are not included in Clone Hero, such as story modes, boss battles, challenges, and of course the satisfaction of unlocking more and more songs as you progress through the career mode. And as I look at my Arcade 1 machine as a video game museum, I think this is a fantastic addition to that. First up is AC/DC Live Rock Band Track Pack. This is a bare-bones standalone track pack featuring 18 live versions of AC/DC's greatest hits. Carlos has done some stock themes for all these games, but I'm going to take the time and redo most of these themes to make them look a little bit more like the actual box art, like I did for this Band Hero here. I added Band Hero to the wheel as it wasn't part of the initial update, but it seems to work just fine. There's 65 songs, guest artists, and a full career mode where you can select your character, difficulty, instrument, and more as you earn stars to unlock new venues and more songs. There are bonus challenges for each of the songs where you need to use a specific instrument and do a specific challenge, such as hitting a number of notes with your lead guitar. If you accomplish the bonus challenge, then you unlock additional outfits for your characters. If you play long enough and do well enough, you can even unlock Taylor Swift and more characters in the game. Next up is Green Day Rock Band, which is a standalone experience where you can play as the 3 members of Green Day. The game includes 47 tracks and unlockable collectibles, awards, and accomplishments. Next up is Guitar Hero, the game that started the music rhythm genre as I know it in 2005 on the PlayStation 2. The first game had 30 cover songs with additional unlockable songs. It sports the classic career mode where you play at venues and unlock more songs, and more venues the better you do. Guitar Hero Aerosmith is another standalone title, this time from the Neversoft and Activision teams that produced the Guitar Hero franchise. This game supports a story mode that follows Aerosmith's career, including playing at the Super Bowl 35 halftime show. There are 41 total songs, 29 from Aerosmith. Guitar Hero Metallica is my favorite of the standalone titles, as it's a tribute to my favorite band. The career mode focuses on the current iteration of the group, and there are 49 total songs, 28 of them from Metallica. And definitely bring your A game to this game, as it steps up the overall difficulty. Guitar Hero Smash Hits is basically the greatest hits from the first 5 Guitar Hero games, as it features 48 master recordings of those songs instead of the cover versions, and it supports full band gameplay, which was first introduced in the Guitar Hero World Tour. The game features the classic career mode, and I created this theme to represent the look and feel of the Guitar Hero Smash Hits box art. I hope you like it. Guitar Hero Van Halen was a complete cash-in on the Van Halen name. Little effort was put into this game. There's 44 total songs, 25 for Van Halen. I actually got this game as a free pre-order when I pre-ordered Guitar Hero 5. That's how little they thought of this game, and it definitely shows. In my opinion, it's the worst Guitar Hero, by far. Next up is Guitar Hero Warriors of Rock, which is the 6th mainline entry in the Guitar Hero franchise, and my personal favorite. I created this theme to mimic the box art. This game features an impressive 93 songs, focusing on the punk and rock genres. This game focuses on a very robust quest mode, which I really enjoy.
Across the land, rockers must prove themselves. If they pass the test, they will be transformed into warriors with great powers. Choose the first.
You get to recruit 8 different characters throughout the campaign, and each one has a different power, such as Echo here gets a 5% boost of star power for every 10-note streak. You then can use these powers in songs to gain additional stars above your normal 5-star maximum. You fill up this transformation meter, and once it's all the way full, your new recruit transforms and gains an additional power. In Echo's case, she gains 10% star power boost for every 10-note streak, which will definitely come in handy.
Echo has proven herself worthy to transform into a warrior, able to fight the beast. More rockers have been revealed.
You can mix and match your powers, and after you complete the game, you can return to previous venues, now with all 8 powers active simultaneously, and achieve up to 40-star performances per song. So you can definitely spend a lot of time in this quest mode. It's very awesome. Guitar Hero World Tour is the 4th mainline game and is the first to feature full band support to directly compete with Rock Band. You can create your own songs in the music studio mode. The career mode features gigs with encores, guest artists including Jimi Hendrix, Ozzy Osbourne, and Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins, venues such as Ozfest, and a Tool showcase, and it features an impressive 86 songs. Guitar Hero 5 contains 85 songs, guest characters including Johnny Cash and Kurt Cobain from Nirvana, new features such as drop-in, drop-out play, full band support with any combination of instrument, and a career mode with both song-specific and general challenges to unlock new characters, clothing, and other extras, similar to Band Hero. Guitar Hero Encore Rocks the 80s was the last Guitar Hero game produced by Harmonix before they moved on to create Rock Band. This game feels more like an expansion than an actual sequel, as it only contains 30 songs and there were no improvements to the gameplay. Guitar Hero 2 is the game that sold me on the music rhythm genre. It featured 40 songs, had the classic career mode to unlock all the songs, and it came packaged with my personal favorite guitar, the Gibson Explorer. It just has a snappy feel to it, and I love the sound of the buttons. While there are better Guitar Hero games out there, this one's definitely nostalgic for me. If Guitar Hero 2 sold me on the music rhythm genre, then Guitar Hero 3 Legends of Rock turned me into a hardcore fan of the genre. The production values took a noticeable step forward. They introduced a co-op career mode, had over 70 songs, and included boss battles against Tom Morello from Rage Against the Machine and Slash from Guns N' Roses. You want to play the battle gem notes perfectly, so that way you can gain a power-up, tilt your guitar, and unleash chaos on your opponent by tossing additional notes, raising their difficulty, or breaking their buttons where they have to hammer on the whammy bar in order to fix it. Next up, we have LEGO Rock Band. I just love the box art for this, so I tried to mimic the theme after it. This game is geared more towards a younger audience with the 45-song soundtrack that it has, and they went all out with the LEGO theme. There's LEGO characters, vehicles, and venues. You can even decorate your own rock den. You can buy staff members to help your band earn additional fans and studs in the fun story mode, where there's pirate ship theme levels, Ghostbusters, and even a LEGO T-Rex chase scene. Next, we have 4 standalone expansions to Rock Band. Each of these has 20 to 21 songs on them, catered to the specific theme of the track pack. I took the time to create 4 unique themes for these, based off of the colors from the box art, artwork from the Rock Band franchise, and added which artists were included in each track pack, so that way you can decide from the theme menu instead of going into each one of these. So if you want to play the classic rock pack, play that one. If you feel like the artists on the country track pack 1, or maybe the artists on the country track pack 2 are the ones that you want to play, then play those. Or maybe you're a big metal fan and you want to play all 21 songs on this one. Either way, all 4 of these are pretty shallow standalone experiences. They were best used as DLC added to your Rock Band or your Rock Band 2. Speaking of Rock Band 2, it's my all-time favorite Rock Band game. I created this theme to mimic the box art, and Rock Band 2 came jam-packed with 84 songs on the disc, 23 downloadable songs, and over 1,400 DLC songs that release weekly. So there is always a reason to check the store to see if some of your favorite tunes came out, and you can add them to your collection. One note is that the Wii version of Rock Band 2 kept crashing for me during the songs, so I did switch to the PlayStation 2 version since that's also on the arcade one, and I did have much better luck with that, although it does switch the aspect ratios from 4:3 to 16:9 for certain menus and gameplay, which can be annoying, but maybe there's a fix with the setting for it. As for the gameplay, the Rock Band franchise introduced solos, which are really fun to try to 100% if you can. There's also additional tour challenge mode, where you can attempt to take down all the different challenges, and as you complete them, you'll unlock more challenges. challenges. But of course, the star of the game is the massive World Tour mode, which just has an absurd amount of content, including venues, gigs, and locations that can be played solo, local co-op, or even online co-op, with up to 4 players with all the different instruments. And the best part of it is that it'll actually populate with all of your DLC that you imported from the other Rock Band games or purchased online. Now, you'll be missing out on this aspect on your Arcade 1, but there will still be plenty to do solo or with your friends locally, including the ridiculous Bladder of Steel award, which you get for playing all 84 songs in a row in one sitting. Good luck! And the last game included in the update is Rock Band 3. It added the keyboard, and it took a more casual approach to the 83 songs included on the disc. And there are more than 700 career goals to keep you busy, along with additional road challenges. Rock Band 2's World Tour mode felt much more focused, meanwhile Rock Band 3 has a more play-how-you-want approach to it. So that covers all the games that were included in the initial Guitar Hero update, as well as some of my thoughts on those games. Now, Band Hero, Beatles Rock Band, and Rock Band 1 were not included in the initial update, but Carlos has since added all 3 games since I've been recording this video. I did have a few little issues pop up while I was testing all this stuff. I wasn't able to get my Tilt Star Power to work with my Xbox 360 Explorer guitar, but the Xbox 360 Harmonic Stratocaster worked just fine. And a few of the games did have some graphical glitches while I was playing, and I did have a game crash a time or two as well, but overall they played great. And as far as I could tell, there was no DLC and no online support, but the local co-op is supported. I haven't tested the drums, the mic, or the keyboard yet, but perhaps that's for another video, as I do hope to finish the rest of those themes, and I do have a big surprise up my sleeve for all of you Guitar Hero, DJ Hero, Rock Revolution, and Rock Band fans. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and ring that notification bell to be notified. One day it would be great to get the more robust Xbox 360 HD versions, but for now, I'm just glad that we have all these as a dedicated wheel on our Arcade 1s. Thank you, Carlos. And if you don't care about story modes, boss battles, or challenges in your music rhythm game, and just want to play all the songs as easily as possible, then Clone Hero is here for you. Clone Hero has thousands of songs from all the Guitar Hero and Rock Band games, including the DLC, all in one convenient place. And while typically when you play a song in Clone Hero, you'll have either a static background image or a generic background video playing, which definitely gets the job done, as the main focus is playing on the song, of course. However, with this new Clone Hero update, it actually adds the videos from Guitar Hero and Rock Band into the background, and it syncs them with the music being played. So it adds a lot of immersion to the experience now, and I really like the attention to detail here. And while it would be nice to have all these custom video backgrounds for all the songs, because it will be a little jarring jumping back and forth between those songs that have them and those that don't, I do know that that's a very big time investment, as I had done this previously with my Clone Hero Endgame edition, which is separate on my Arcade 1, where I went through and added custom static images to every single song, and then went back and added official music videos to those songs that had them. And while Carlos did all the heavy lifting, putting Clone Hero on the Arcade 1 with all these thousands of songs, there's so much more you can actually do with Clone Hero on your own. Here are a few fun examples of songs with both static images and, of course, music videos playing in the background. Unfortunately, I will get a copyright strike if I play some of these songs, but I hope you get the idea of how neat it is to pair the songs with the actual background videos. It does take some work to get them synced up if you want them to match the vocals properly, but it's very neat to see all the different songs that you can add to your Clone Hero, such as this Attack on Titan Season 1 opening theme, or how about this epic Game of Thrones opening to the show, paired with the iconic opening sequence as the map unfolds. It's so cool and very fun to play, especially if you're a fan of the show. And I'll even include a couple more sneak peeks at some awesome themes that you can play on your Clone Hero if you download them and install these background themes.
Get right with the shell shock pizza kings. Can't stop these radical dudes. The secret of the ooze make the chosen few emerge from the shadows to make their move. The good guys win and the bad guys lose.
a small but very welcome addition to the visual pinball wheel. There are tons of logos, videos, and themes for all the different wheels on the Arcade One. Sometimes they're complete, and other times they do need to be updated at a later date as media becomes available. The visual pinball wheel has hundreds of tables on it, but only had one theme and no videos. So as you're flipping through the wheel, looking for what table you want to play, you have to go based off the logo alone. And some of these are official tables, while others are fan-made tables. So sometimes it's kind of sketchy as to how good the table's going to actually be. And that's why it's terrific that John M. and Carlos worked together to get the large majority of the videos added to the wheel. Out of the hundreds of tables, there are only a handful missing, and hopefully those will be filled in over time. While the videos do not have sound, which is unfortunate, it is so much nicer having the videos previewing the tables as you flip through the wheel. It makes it so much more enjoyable and also a lot more functional. This is a terrific update, and I really appreciate the efforts from John and Carlos on this. It adds to the Arcade One and the visual pinball table wheel. Next up, we have a massive overhaul to the magazines wheel, with over 2,000 magazines being added. I'm such a big fan of the retro video game magazines, as you can see from my collection here on the left video. I always enjoyed getting the newest issue of EGM, GamePro, Nintendo Power back in the day, to see what the new games were coming out, or what the hottest tip or trick or cheat code was. So while a lot of people may not care about this update because they bought their Arcade One to play the latest games, but I just love this update for all the retro nostalgia that it brings to me. And personally, I did feel like this update was long overdue, because I've been amassing my own collection that I was planning on adding to this wheel in the future, but thanks to Kevin and Carlos, I won't have to do near as much heavy lifting, as they have included a lot of the magazines that I personally love and enjoy. So thanks Kevin, thanks Carlos, I look forward to checking this magazine wheel out and seeing what you've done with it. So this is the magazine wheel that you'll find on your main wheel on the Arcade One. Once you click into this, you'll see all the different magazines here. And you can scroll left or right, or you can push up and down to skip to a specific letter if you'd like. Because there's a ton of magazines, you might want to do that. So I'm seeing a bunch of different magazines mixed here. I got some official Sega Saturn magazines, which look like they're from the UK. There's some Sierra News magazines and Interaction magazines. I'm not too familiar with either of those. Some more Sega Saturn magazines. There's also some Atari Age magazines. I haven't seen those. We got some Computer Entertainment. We also have some Dragon magazines here. Never heard of that one. Is that some sort of Dungeons and Dragons magazine? If so, I'm betting either Kevin or Carlos is a big fan of those. Wow, there's a ton of these Dragon ones. Here we have some fun ones. EGM E3 supplement and preview guides. Trickman's best trick and tips of 1993. And then of course we have EGM 2, which I collected because, you know, the monthly 400-page EGM magazine just wasn't enough video game information for me growing up. I just needed to have the EGM 2 to fill in all my video game gaps. There's a big selection of these electronic games magazines on here. I think this came out in the 80s, so I never really got into this one, but I'm gonna have to check it out. And then of course my personal favorite, the Electronic Gaming Monthly, better known as EGM. I remember having these magazines, bringing them to the arcades to help me out with the codes, the fatalities, the moves in Mortal Kombat 2. Such an amazing experience. Love these magazines. Speaking of Mortal Kombat, why don't we jump into issue number 47 of Electronic Gaming Monthly so you can see how this works. You get a nice image of the cover here, and you can scroll through all the pages of the magazine left and right with your joystick. There's also a lot of fun memories, looking at all these different advertisements. You can see the old sales that they used to have for some of the old stores like Software Etc. here, and the different prices for the games. You can zoom in on any of the pages you want with Player 1, top row, button 1. This allows you to read the text easier. You can scroll up and down the page with your joystick and zoom back out with Player 1, top row, button 2. And then you can go back to flipping through the different pages. You can also view single pages or spreads by changing the viewing options with Player 1 top row button 3 or Player 1 bottom row button 1. Hit back button to exit out to the magazine select screen, and I hope to do some future videos incorporating some of the magazines, so this might be a little tease for that. And there's a truckload of EGM magazines on here, so I'm going to skip ahead and show you some others like Fusion and another classic, GamePro. Another fond memory I have of these old video game magazines is like in the back of the EGMs or even the GamePros that covered all the different consoles, not just one specific one. You could find games that you never saw in the United States, like Final Fantasy VII. You'd read coverage about it in Japan, and I was blown away by this game, so I was eagerly anticipating each new magazine that came out to see if I could find some more info on it, and EGM and GamePro really helped with that. Alright, let's jump ahead again, and we must have some more of Kevin's favorites here, Celebrity Video Gamers and Mad Magazine. Alright, now this is more like it. Next Gen Magazine featuring GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. Love that generation of consoles. And then we have the Nintendo Fan Club newsletter. That means Nintendo Power must be nearby. And then you have some Nintendo player guides here, along with the classic Nintendo Power magazine. Issue number 11 features Super Mario Bros. 3, a potential top 25 game of all time. Of course, its strategy guides also included. These covers for the Nintendo Power are so great. I love the artwork on them. And then you have this issue number 28 featuring Super Mario World, which is another potential top 25 game of all time. And there's so many awesome issues of Nintendo Power that I'd like to showcase, but I'm going to skip ahead for time's sake, and I'm going to show you some of the other magazines real quick, like the official US PlayStation magazine here, another magazine that I collected as a child, and it focused on all things Sony. And then you have PC Gamer, which covers on computer gaming at the time, and there's a ton of issues on here as well. And then, of course, you have the Retro Gamer magazines. There's a lot of these, and they focus on all the old school games, like from my childhood growing up. And then we have the Sega Visions magazine, which focuses on all things Sega. So you have Sonic, the Sega Game Gear, the Sega Genesis, and then we're back to the very beginning. And I'm sure I skipped some magazines as I was jumping around in this video, but I hope this gives you an idea of what the magazine wheel is all about on the Arcade One, and why this massive overhaul to it is just so amazing to me. The Arcade One has thousands and thousands of games on it, many of which I've never played or don't even know exist. So sure, I could hit up Google or Wikipedia, YouTube to find out more information on all this stuff, but to me, on the video game museum machine that the Arcade One is, I just feel that opening up a retro video game magazine just makes so much more sense to get me in the mood to play a classic game or maybe uncover a long-lost hidden gem. So I hope you enjoyed this portion of the video showcasing all these retro video game magazines, and I hope to do more on this on my channel, so stay tuned. Next up, we have a big surprise wheel added to the Arcade One, the comics wheel. There are over 15,000 comics added to this wheel, which may not be for everyone since they aren't necessarily video game related, even though obviously a lot of the licensed characters do pop up in licensed video games. But if you're not into this sort of a thing because you want to keep this focused on the games and the magazines, that's fine. You don't have to actually install this update if you don't want to, but I think this is a very cool update, as I'm a massive comic book fan, as you can tell from some of my collection being shown off in the video there on the left. This update is very similar to the magazine wheel in terms of the controls to navigate the menus and everything, the viewing of the comics themselves, and what to expect once you're inside the wheel. So I'll quickly go through the wheel here just to see what's in here, but we don't have to take too much time since it is pretty similar to the magazine's wheel. This is what the comics wheel theme looks like on your main wheel of your Arcade One. Once you click into here, here's where all your comics are. The first series up is the Marvel Tales series, which is a series that came out back in like the 1960s. So one thing that jumps out at me right away is the naming convention. Instead of labeling it Marvel Tales number 96 or 97, it's numbered instead first. So that means that everything's going to be in chronological order, or at least a rough version. So if you want to read 10,000 plus Marvel comic books from the start all the way through the end, well, good for you. They're in that order for you. However, if you just want to read the X-Men series, the Spider-Man series, or the G.I. Joe series, it's going to be a lot more complex because you're going to have to sift through all these or know when they come out. However, I do have a little tip that I'm going to show you later in this video that'll help hopefully solve that issue. And if you're a fan of the Marvel Silver, Bronze, or Copper ages, well, you're in luck as they're heavily represented here. Lots of key issues, including the Incredible Hulk number 181, which features Wolverine's first full appearance. You have the Marvel Star Wars series from the 70s, and of course, the epic X-Men number 1 relaunch in 1991, which was Chris Claremont's swan song to the X-Men and featured the iconic artwork from Jim Lee. This is the best-selling comic book of all time with over 8 million copies sold. And while I could go on for hours and hours covering all the different series included here on the comics wheel, I'm just going to touch on a few more. The Marvel series seems to go up to around 2009 or so, and there's a bunch of IDW stuff on here as well. So all the series from G.I. Joe at that time, Ghostbusters, Magic the Gathering, and of course Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And speaking of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, there's a lot of different comics on here from the different publishers, so if you're a fan, you're going to be in luck. However, everyone's not going to be in luck because all the franchises are not represented, so there's no DC Comics on here, so no Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. But if you are a fan of the Humble Bundle, you can always purchase bundles at a steep discount, and you can add them yourself to this wheel. I have done this in the past on the magazine's wheel actually, where I added my Spawn, Transformers, and Walking Dead Humble Bundles that I purchased, and I got those for dirt cheap. Now for my quick search tip. If you go into the Hypersearch wheel on your main wheel on the Arcade 1, you can type in whichever comic series you're looking for. So for example, I'm going to type in G.I. Joe, and we're going to hit search, and it'll populate the wheel with all the different G.I. Joe items. So all the G.I. Joe video games will appear here, as well as the comics. You can scroll up and down the all list for everything, or you can scroll left and right and it'll be the individual wheels. So if you're looking for the game, go to the specific game wheel. If you're looking for the comics, go to the comics wheel. And you'll notice there's 290 issues of G.I. Joe. So if you get lost in the main wheel because of that odd naming convention, you can always do a search here and hopefully you'll find the issue that you're looking for, and you can click on it here and actually read it straight from the search. So while the comics wheel isn't perfect, I do appreciate it being added to the Arcade 1, and who knows, maybe in the future there'll be additional updates or revisions to it and it'll be even bigger, badder, and better. Next up is the Video Jukebox wheel, added with roughly 4,000 songs and videos. Now there's already a jukebox wheel on the Arcade 1 where you can add your own songs and create your own playlist, but this one's different. The Video Jukebox wheel features all of the popular music videos from the VH1 and MTV era, including separate categories for the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, pop rock, and even Christmas videos. Now this one won't be that much fun to cover because I can only show you the videos. I can't actually have the songs playing because I'll get a copyright strike, but I can still go through a few of the wheels and the categories, some of the songs that are available on here, and so you can at least see the layout of this Video Jukebox wheel. Now this would be a great to have playing in the background if you have some friends or family over, playing cards, watching football, or just having a couple drinks. It's a large update too, so it's only going to be available on the 20 terabyte edition, and I do want to throw a thank you out to John and Carlos for all their hard work that they did on this wheel. It feels like any jukebox that you would have came across, put a quarter in the 80s or 90s, and just oozes that nostalgic feel. So I love this addition to the Arcade 1. And last but certainly not least is a massive update by Kevin from the Arcade 1 Facebook group. He wanted an affordable LCD option for an active marquee that he could add to his Arcade 1, so when he was flipping through the different wheels in the games, the marquee would change and show whatever wheel he was in or whatever game he was playing. But he did notice that quite a few of the marquee artwork was actually missing from a lot of the wheels, so not only did he create some of his own, but he took the time to hunt down over 95,000 marquees to help fill in as many gaps as possible. He spent a ton of time on this project, and not only did he share all of his fruits of his labor with the Arcade 1 community, but also with Al over at Pixelcade, who has his own version of the LCD marquee that he sells, that he has been updating over the years with the help from Ben, Jersey John, and James T. The Pixelcade works with the Arcade 1, Rec Room Masters, Retrocade, and plenty of other machines out there, so this collaboration between Kevin and Al is just tremendous to see. And while I don't currently have an LCD marquee to showcase this update, I did reach out to both Kevin and Al to see if either of them would like to provide me some footage. Kevin sent me 2 different videos, including the one that you're seeing here on the left, of him flipping through his Arcade 1, showing all the artwork change on his affordable LCD marquee solution. Al also sent me a video with some commentary on it, showcasing the work that Kevin did with this update, and it's running on his Pixelcade paired with the Arcade 1 on a Rec Room Masters cabinet.
Hey guys, as always, thanks for tuning in. So for those of you with a Pixelcade LCD marquee, got a pretty big update for you guys. So we got a bunch of new artwork. So big thanks to Ben, Kevin, Jersey John, James T, a lot of other folks in the community who've contributed artwork. You now get that automatically via an automatic updater. We can also do remote firmware updates. So I'll show you how to update your firmware remotely. You don't have to pop out your SD card anymore. Also completely redid the way scrolling text works on Pixelcade LCD. So I'll show you a demo of that with some high scores and some now playing splash screens. Did spend a bunch of time going through the code and optimizing where I could. So see a little bit speedier, not super dramatically faster, but you should see a noticeable improvement. For those of you that have a Pixelcade dot display, I got some enhancements there. So let me show you now first though how to do the update, and then we'll do a demo of some of the new features. First thing you want to do is go over to pixelcade.org and download the desktop Pixelcade software for your Pixelcade LCD. Now normally in future updates you shouldn't have to download the core software, but because this is such a big update, I had to change a bunch of stuff, so we got to get this guy. So go ahead and let that download. Alright, once you've got it downloaded, just go ahead and launch it. It's going to get the latest version of LED Blinky, so just let that run. Now it's going to install the main Pixelcade software. I did, by the way, have a bug in this installer. So in the past on some computers, this would like take a long time or lock up your PC. So that issue is no more. Okay, so now it's actually going to go and look for your Pixelcade on your network. If you already have yours paired, that's okay, just let it run. So you see it finds it here. By the way, this is one of the things that I recoded, so I made this a little bit more user-friendly, and if it doesn't find your Pixelcade on the first try, it'll give you some messages and whatnot, so that's another improvement. But we've got it downloaded, so now let's go here to Program Files, scroll down to the Pixelcade LCD directory, and look for something that says Pixelcade LCD Updater, so this guy right here. Now, at the time of this recording, I haven't released the new firmware in production yet. I still want to get some more people testing it, but if you're feeling brave, just click this install beta box and you'll get the latest firmware. If not, that's okay. You can just run the updater, you'll just get the artwork, and some of the improvements I'm going to show you won't have yet until you get the new firmware, but I'm going to go ahead and hit that. So do this, hit start. Now, if you're on Batocera or Linux, there's a command line, so read the description in this video, that'll show you the command line for how to do the same thing I'm doing here if you're on Batocera or some Linux variant. So we'll just let that run. You'll see there on Pixelcade, it's going to tell you what's going on. So right now it's downloading artwork. This artwork update at the time of this recording is about 500 meg. About 3,000 or so new marquees, so lots of new artwork in there. So we'll just give this a sec to download. Okay, so it's downloaded the artwork. Now it's extracting it to the single board computer that drives Pixelcade LCD. And so these are all the individual marquees. So as you can see, there's quite a few. So we'll just let this run. Okay, this is another feature I added. So it's showing you on the Marquee how much free storage you have. So I've got 8 gigabytes free on the system storage and 19 gigabytes to be free on the user storage. And then on this particular one, and now it's updating the firmware, I've got a USB drive that's got more storage. So just so you guys know, the way this works is Pixelcade has internal system storage. So that's where all these marquees are going to. That right now there's 8 gigabytes free, so there's plenty of space for future expansion. And then the user storage, that's where you can add your own marquees. And you've got 19 gigabytes to work with, so plenty of space there to add your own stuff as well. All right, so finish the update. It got the new firmware, rebooted Pixelcade LCD, so you don't have to restart or anything. It did that all for you in the background. So that is done. Let me first show you this thing called Pixelcade Companion. So if you haven't used that, do check that out. It's pretty nice. So basically provides a web user interface to browse all of the artwork. So if I go to Pixelcade LCD Marquee, look for Pixelcade Companion. And by the way, you can do this if you know the host name. You can actually do this from any computer on your network. Go to Browse Marquees. And you can just browse around. You can see here all the artwork that we've got. You start with PC. There's a bunch of stuff here. And as you click on them, Pixelcade, of course, will update. And so, big thanks to Ben. He did most of these actually for the PC, and then Kevin's doing a bunch now as we speak. So a lot of great artwork there. In this update, I also added all the default marquees. So these are all the system defaults by console. So big thanks to James T. He did all these. These are really great. So you can browse those. And you can see there's quite a few. So that's how you browse the artwork. All right, so let's browse around. First thing I want to show you is how high scores work now. So let me go to a game. I know I've got some high scores. All right, so you see the high score there? So that will stay there for about 10 seconds. And then once that's done, it will go back to the normal game marquee, just like that. So that's a new feature. If you pick a game that doesn't have high scores, I think this one doesn't have high scores, it'll just now show that now playing splash screen. That will go there for about 5 seconds and then go back to the marquee. And those backgrounds, by the way, are random. I think there's maybe 10 or so. So if I pick another one, this one I think does. Yeah, this one does have high scores. So you see there's another different background there. That's all randomly generated. But that's a high score feature. So I hope you guys like that. I spent a lot of time coding that. All right. So another feature, and again, this is if you happen to have the Pixelcade dot sub-display, is that I added the year of the console. So MAME was released in 97. Some random ones. So this was Capcom Play System. That was 1988, it looks like. So all the consoles where I had the data kind of added the year it was released. Okay, just like before, if I launch a game that has a video, it's now going to do this, now playing splash screen. It's going to play the video. Typically these are 7-second snaps or so. And then once the video's done, it's then going to go back to the normal game marquee. Just like that. All right, so that's pretty much it for this new release.
And that brings us to the end of another Arcade One new update video, recapping some of 2023's year-end updates, as well as some brand new 2024 updates. Heck, there were even updates being added to my Arcade One while I was doing post-production on this video. So while I was able to sneak in Band Hero, Beatles Rock Band, and Rock Band 1 being added to the Guitar Hero wheel, I wasn't able to mention that there was another Teknoparrot Patreon game added to our Arcade One in Buck Hunter Pro, and also that the new Jurassic Park arcade game already had a music fix to it. So the updates just keep on coming to the Arcade One in 2024. So if you want to stay up to date on all the newest Arcade One updates, make sure you subscribe to the channel, ring that notification bell so you get notified on all the future videos, and give this video a thumbs up if you had a good time and enjoyed it. I'd love to hear some of your comments down below on which update you like the best here, or which one would you like to see come to the Arcade One in 2024. Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks again goes out to Carlos, Kevin, Ben, John, Al, and everyone else who helps out and helps contribute to the Arcade One and its success. And remember, we're in the endgame now.